Hello everybody, this is my 48th review of films to come out in 2025, and today I'm talking about The Threesome. This will be a non-spoiler review for the first half, and then I'll talk about spoilers in the second half of the video, so I'll give you a warning before I get into those. The Threesome was directed by Chad Hartigan. I've never seen a film by him before. This is the first film ever written by the screenwriter Ethan Ogilvy. I recognize the stars of the film from a couple of things, but I don't remember anything about their prior performances, so I truly went into this with no expectations. I didn't even see a trailer or read a synopsis. I had no idea what the film was about going into it. So, would I recommend The Threesome? Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I could definitely see someone liking this less than I did. It definitely has its problems, and I could see them being more severe for some people, but I really cannot imagine anyone going into this and not enjoying it somewhat, because there's just a lot that's great about this film. Genre-wise, it's a sex relationship dramedy, which is not usually a genre that I enjoy that much, but I guess yesterday I talked about Splitsville, which is also in this exact very specific genre, but I thought this film, The Threesome, works so much better. So let's get into what I liked about it. The main thing that I love about this movie, and what I wish was the approach that more movies would take, is the way the characters act like real people. I really felt like there was so much effort put into making these characters feel real. Even though the film gets pretty ridiculous at times, it still always took itself sort of seriously. Which is kind of a difficult act to balance, to take yourself seriously and also be funny, but I think it's an important thing to do to make a movie meaningful and start conversations and have the audience connect with the characters on an emotional level, and sometimes it's important for a movie to take itself seriously to be funny. Because when a film feels genuine and when the characters feel like real people, it's a lot easier for me to laugh at the situations that they get into. And keep in mind that I'm talking about this movie like it's some sophisticated art house film, but it's basically a rom-com where whatever bad could happen will happen. And yet, for the most part, the ways in which things go wrong are explained very logically, and every time something goes wrong for a character, they react to it in a realistic way. And so for the most part, I was very invested in their conflicts and where the story would go. Also, from a technical perspective, the music is great. I thought the editing was very good, even if there were a couple of edits that I thought should have been done differently. In general, the editing is just really good. The jokes are punctuated well, the pacing is pretty much perfect for me. Personally, the most underwhelming aspect of the movie was the cinematography. It's not bad, but I wish there was more of a style to it. There were some really well thought out shots in this movie, but I just wanted more of that, because a lot of them feel like there's less intentionality to them. I also really appreciate that when the characters do something bad in this film, I didn't feel like the movie ever insisted how you should feel about the characters, which is something that really annoys me in certain movies. Maybe apart from the ending, which I really wasn't that crazy about. I can't really say any more without getting into spoilers, so let's do it. I would say I had a little bit of a hard time with the ending just because there was too much I didn't like about the character Olivia in this film. I found her hard to sympathize with at a certain point, and so her and Connor get together at the end is just not a celebratory moment for me. Perhaps if the film went more into her sympathetic side, or even if it just took out the part where she basically cheats on him, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. In general, I thought all of the leads should have been expanded upon more, especially Connor. I felt like he was very generic to me. I feel like there should have been more scenes of him alone dealing with these issues. Maybe we could have gone more into his job, or how he's dealing with this financially, or just his interests. And that also goes for the other two leads as well. There's one scene where he's telling Olivia what he loves about her, and he's like, well, you're smart, and you're funny. And I was like, damn, I don't really buy that you love this person in this moment. It sounds like you barely know her. I was thinking about the opening of Marriage Story in that scene and how well that movie basically does the same conversation. I would have genuinely really loved like a montage like that in this scene. I would also say that near the end, certain conflicts are a little too forced or convenient, especially the scene where Jenny and her family show up to the hospital. That was pretty much the one part of the movie that I think they should have done totally differently. Like, maybe have Olivia, Jenny, and Connor all together when Olivia is giving birth, and then they all go to the hospital, and then maybe Jenny starts having birth, and then she's already in the hospital, and so they set up a bed for her, and then her parents have to come because, you know, she wants them to be there, but she's also conflicted because she doesn't want to tell them about the situation. Would have been better that way, I think. The way they wrote it just felt way too convenient. I would say in general, past the gender reveal scene, the movie dropped off a little bit for me. The conflicts were a little less fun for me. The movie just felt a little cheesier past that point. Also, I didn't understand the conflict of the gender reveal at all. Like, I really didn't understand why they were arguing with each other. I mentioned earlier that I didn't like a couple of the edits. There's just a few moments that I felt like they showed something that was kind of unnecessary. There's one that sticks out in my mind, which is a dramatic moment where Connor is brushing his teeth, and something about it just feels very out of place to me. I understand why it's dramatic, but it just felt like it was done in a really weird way. I also really don't like the choice of chapter sections in this film. I feel like it basically spoiled for me the fact that Olivia would keep the baby, even if it tried its best not to. Some acting, especially from the main guy, felt a bit like he was too concerned with looking attractive in the movie, like he mogs basically, but it almost works in the context of the movie. I want to talk about the ending a little bit more. I saw this movie at a Q&A with the director, and he said that the ending of the film was supposed to be a wedding, and the best man speech at the beginning of the film would be referenced at the end with another best man speech. I don't know for sure if that would have been better. I understand why they changed it, but I kind of think it would have worked better if they made Olivia more likable. There's also one little thing that I noted that the director said he changed in the final edit. The characters go to like a childbirth preparation class, and a gay character in the movie pretends to be Olivia's partner, and there's a scene where all the men are holding the women's hips, and the director said he shot this two different ways. One where Olivia is holding the gay dude's hips, and one where the gay dude is holding her hips and kind of looking around making sure he's doing the right thing. And they chose the version where she is holding his hips, and I feel like that was the wrong choice. Because even during the movie, that moment just really stood out to me as like a bad comedy movie moment, and the other option just sounds funnier to me as well. The last thing that I want to talk about with this movie is the conversation about whether or not Connor manipulated Olivia into having a baby and not getting an abortion. I think it's an interesting conversation. I like how it's handled in the movie. Again, I really like that the movie doesn't insist how you should feel. I think it's constructed in a way that feels very realistic, and I'm sure it will start good discussions for people leaving the theater. I'd be pretty interested to hear how people felt about that part of the story, so feel free to comment what you thought. I empathize quite a bit with the main guy, even if he's flawed. There's a lot I like about him, but I could see people hating his character for that. Part of me feels like it's pretty bad that he forced himself to go with her to the clinic, and that he was probably going to try to make her rethink it, but I also kind of feel like her decision making wasn't actually affected much by him. I think there's sort of a people-pleasing arc that his character goes through where he's trying to keep everybody happy in this situation and ends up being dishonest sometimes to keep people happy, and you see the ramifications of that later in the movie. And I feel like for the dynamic, that's just a perfect type of character to have. To wrap this up, even if I think this movie is far from perfect, I just thought it was such a breath of fresh air. And I feel like for the most part, it was successful at everything it tried to do. When it was trying to be funny, it was really funny. When there was conflict, I was invested in what would happen. When there was a twist or turn in the story, even if I may have seen it coming, I was still invested because it means something to the characters and I'm invested in them and the story. And I felt like every time the movie was trying to elicit an emotional response, it works for the most part. I wasn't crying or anything, but I felt for the main characters even when the movie got a bit goofy or cheesy. Anyways, I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars out of 5. Tomorrow, I will make a review for K-Pop Demon Hunters, so subscribe to see that. In the description, I will put a link to my Letterboxd list ranking all of the movies I've reviewed of 2025. Here's the ranking so far and where the Threesome is placed, and there are the rest of the movies on this list. There you go. There should also be a link to the YouTube playlist of all my 2025 film reviews in the description. You can also find that on my channel page and on the left side of your screen. Thank you for watching. Comments and likes are very much appreciated. They help give me a boost in the algorithm. That's all I gotta say about the Threesome. See ya.